Predicting. Predictable. Predictions.
Predict.
Predictable. Predictions.
Predictable.
Predictive. Predictable.
Predictive Programming, Episode 7. Probably the most important guest in the history of any podcast. Our close personal friend, Isaac Altman-Sagan.
Good to be here. Definitely more important on a podcast about exchanges and the guy
maybe
who worked at Kalshi in trading for sure.
It was like Obama and Mark Maron was a big deal. What were some other important podcast guests? Joe Rogan's had a few of them.
He had Trump on.
He had that North Korean lady that was making all that stuff.
Right.
That was pretty cool. But anyway, we got Isaac. Isaac's an old friend of ours. We all go way back.
Way
To
back.
the before times, for sure.
You could actually make the argument that Isaac introduced you and me.
And if you want to make a really good argument, you could argue that Isaac actually got Henry this job at Novig.
That is true.
Yeah, that is straight up true.
Yeah, not like North Korean women spewing stuff. Like this is real.
It's weird that
real
you're
facts.
the only one who doesn't currently work here.
Yeah.
I tried to pull you in 6 months ago, and you were at my house, and my wife was like, wait, let's run some numbers. What are they offering you? What are you making betting on sports? When you told her how much money you make betting on sports, she was like, you got to keep doing that. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, shout out to Mandy protecting me and the American dream, because I was live to come. And maybe another day.
Anyways.
I mean, I would have, however likely I would have thought this guy was an even bigger long shot. So, brick by brick, we're built.
How's the first week, by the way? Because we're 1 weekend, right? Didn't we record an episode? Last week was like brand new.
I have a lot of respect for market makers now.
Right.
I realize how difficult it is. I would always complain and I would say, oh, the books would do this. They should do this. If I was there, I would make it all better. And I come in and I realize this shit is hard.
How's your P&L week one?
Not good. We're down.
I think it's good.
Really cohesive training team we have.
Maybe
here.
Chris might personally be down. But the ship is going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But
We got a good week.
we're not talking about ourselves. We're interviewing Isaac here. What are you currently doing on exchanges? You know, I do know that you're a Novig user. What
First
are you
and
doing?
foremost.
What are you doing on Novig?
A bit of everything. It's obviously a very different game than Kalshi and Polymarket, especially Kalshi. I mean, I think you see a lot of people posting on Twitter having some sweats on a market that they're not actually making numbers for, but they're just, fighting for that Robinhood rec liquidity. And I think Novig's a much more fun game from an actual trading perspective. You have to figure out how long you want to leave orders up for, what markets you're actually winning at, and it's fun to come in and post some decent amount of money, but then you get snap filled. You got to think about, all right, am I the guy here or am I not the guy here? And if you don't figure that out quickly, you're not going to be the guy, and you're going to be the guy asking for a job at Novig.
What are the markets that you're the guy on?
I wouldn't say there are any markets that I'm the guy on.
I disagree, but go ahead. What do you think you're not the guy on?
Well, MLB spring training I'm not the guy on, and that would be a problem. So whoever that was, shout out to them. I think people have said it before, but being able to pick your spots is really important, and you get to do that when you're just casually making, rather than you guys who have to put up prices for the whole board. I think there's some MLB spots that I have it pretty good, and I feel confident about those. Some NBA props, maybe some NFL stuff. Yeah.
Let's talk some numbers. How much volume did you do this MLB season?
Still going on a little bit. Some number of 8 figures. I have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Wait, Novig or
Usually Novig.
No, total.
Generally.
It's all
definitely.
It's all one
definitely not.
Dark
Definitely.
pool.
Yeah, it's already
You're
dark
saying
pool.
it's just gonna be,
Just Novig. Yeah.
You're not even gonna know.
Yeah, I don't know. Something around that. I have to look at the
majority
exact
props?
numbers. No, majority. Some sides and derivatives and stuff like that.
I've heard MLB sides are unbeatable. So how are you doing so much volume on them?
Do a fair bit of volume and size. I wouldn't say it's a crazy amount of volume and size, and I think that's something that I've come to realize in the last few years is I think in this current ecosystem, being solid to good at being able to price the harder stuff, and then being able to bet a lot of money on the stuff that's a little bit softer, but for most people you can get similar amounts of money down.
Yeah.
is probably the better way to go. And you two, and our other friend, Fake Sharp, have talked a little bit about this, that not being stuck in your ways is an edge in itself, I think, right? And so for most people, right, I'm not betting crazy amounts of money. I'm able to get...
You're betting crazy amounts of money.
All right, I'm betting real amounts of money. Sorry, let me clear that. I'm betting real amounts of money. And I'm still able to get, fills, largely in part to this guy and a few other people, on stuff that I want similar size on MLB size. And that's a very different game, right? You get to bet those markets with a lot more conviction. You get to bet your fares, and then there are also, second order effects and benefits. Like I get to bet a worse price, or I get to bet this later in the day, or whatever that might be. So gone are the days where it's like, all right, I need to grind to be the best because I want to be able to bet, some tens of thousands of dollars on MLB side. I'd have to wait until limits go up. And so I think being able to bet a lot more things is beneficial because I don't think I would super confidently be able to get that much volume and size and think I'm really getting any good.
Yeah, but I think you guys, when you get as serious as both the two of you are, you can almost forget just how much the constraints of size are affecting you, right? Because I bet every night when openers go up on Bookmaker, you see all kinds of weak stuff that you're like, I could pick that off, but it's not worth it for you, right? And that getting past that tier where it's like, I see EV all over the board, but EV is not money. Size is money. And like learning to trust yourself about how long do I have and where am I actually going to be able to get volume quietly and still trust that it's good. Like that's the meta game that's so hard. And I think that's where the good to great like fall off happens, right?
It's funny. I remember one of the bets that this guy Isaac sent me was when I had my personal Chris account that wasn't tagged as Sharp yet. I had not been betting. He sent me the spring training bet. It's overnight. 1K max. So most people would ignore it, but I just clicked it 24 times before it moved, and I was like, all right, got this down.
Yeah.
And now you realize, like, your point is true. It's like, well, now I auto move everything. So like, all those limits matter, and you can't use your account for whatever.
Can I tell my favorite story in a similar vein? Which was when I found an absolute rort on the number of Chiefs home games that Taylor Swift would attend. Did we tell you this?
One of the best bets I've ever made to this day, regardless of the result.
The Chiefs, the line was 7, over under 7, and it was like minus 40 on the 140 on the under. They only had 8 home games, and one of them she had a concert date simultaneous. Like it was a night game that she had a show in a different town the exact same night. So it was like, unless she cancels a show, and these shows are like her religion, she literally cannot go above 7. So 7 is locked in, and we're free rolling her missing one other game. And it was like, what was the max?
$200.
Yeah. And I was like, this, it's peanuts, but look, they have this mispriced line. And Isaac's like, well, just for fun, let me see if I can play it and not move it, because I never play NFL on Bookmaker. I'm like, this isn't NFL. This is like, Taylor Swift props. And he fires it up, and he gets through without hitting the auto mover. And I think he did it like 75 times before they pulled it.
I was sitting there for many minutes. I was prepared I was texting everyone I knew maybe did. Yeah. I mean, you're going to move. Yeah. You're going to move on to the MLB same money line, but you're going to let me get it.
Did it win?
It pushed.
She that concert. We ran so bad, man. Dude, Taylor's too devoted to
and dude, it was the dumbest sweat because every single Chiefs game would be starting, and we'd be like, "Have they shown her? Is she in the stadium?" Like, yeah, dude, she just came in, custom sequin sweatshirt with Travis's face on it. We're donezo. But then the funniest piece of it was the next time I found an actual good NFL bet on Bookmaker, I sent it to Isaac because my account moves NFL. And he clicked it, and he's like, it moved instantly. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, oh, he's flagged Sharp on NFL off of the Taylor Swift.
They like locked the line for 20 minutes, reopened it.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, this is the sharpest dude in the world. Like, we can't take any NFL action from this guy anymore.
More Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we deserve better.
So, Isaac, when you're betting, you have a habit.
I actually have no idea where this is going, but he laughs immediately, so.
It's just air grievances.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a habit of overselling how good a bet is from time to time. And how do you think about how good a bet is in terms of the EV, how much win probability it is, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm referring to.
Oh, for sure. I get juiced when I find a good bet to this day.
Just tell Henry, Isaac found this absolute wart. I'm like, okay,
I didn't use the word roar. Let's be very clear.
Great bet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, I'll go bet it now. And it's a minus 500. Fair is minus 800. What? Like, what are we doing?
That's solid, dude.
Yeah, it's so
That's
bad.
so
I
good.
should probably stop sending
That's
stuff. He's
dude.
just gonna air grievances like this out.
Similarly, I think once a week I hear from Isaac, this is the single largest position of my life.
Yes.
Everything hinges on this.
Yes, that does happen. It
I
has
think you actually are doing that.
I'd say I'm doing that.
You can't help
in
yourself.
part to conversation with this guy, like I make a really conscious effort, and this is for sure not good behavior, RG. Like in the past few months, I made a big effort. I've made a big effort to like, give myself sweats where I'm like sick to my stomach on the bets.
That's right.
And you have certain spots where you just have the money in really good, and you can get a lot of money down because it's more liquid than it should be, or someone's caught with their pants down, and you gotta pile those in. And
Why do you have to pile those in? Why do you have to feel sick to your stomach?
First of all, love of the game, it's just elite. But I think we talk about this as you are betting more. There are constraints on how much you can get down or what you're betting.
Kelly
or how
gets
you're betting.
scarier too.
Yeah, Kelly
It's
gets
easy to go Kelly when you have a fake bankroll.
100%.
Yeah.
Very good point, right? Like, you see people on Twitter post these big weekends of like plus 47 units. And it's like, all right, they had 8 units at $15 a piece on this 40%, or 40-cent scalp to market.
Putting eight real units, like literally 8% of my liquid net worth on something is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers is
And
not.
it's life changing.
Dodgers is not. Yeah, it's life changing. Exactly. Dodgers is not that far off for that. And there were a few others in the past few months. Yeah, I think there's that.
You net need Dodgers outright right now?
Yeah.
Because I know you were on Blue Jays at points.
Blue Jays just doing AL, which is fun with that
Oh, yeah,
guy.
that's right. Just to get
And all Dodgers. Yeah. But anyway, all this is right. There's the I don't know how many of these opportunities I'm gonna have where I can bet this amount of money at this edge, and I'm really confident that's my edge. And it's very rarely going to be it's not. I'm not gonna say it's never the MLB side 4 hours before the World Series or playoff game. It's other stuff. And you're right. In those spots, sometimes you have to be the adverse selection, and realizing that is intimidating and a hurdle to get over. Right? You see a ton of money posted on an exchange, and someone there is willing to take the other side, and not only that. They have a bunch of money, they've been putting it up. A lot of other people have seen that price and decided that I don't want to bet that price. Yeah. And so you have to think that you have something they don't. And a lot of that is a sample of success, but also understanding the spots where you have competitive advantages. Not just like, all right, I net out on top, but in this specific spot, I think there's something they don't have, or I'm confident that they are wrong about this thing. And so isolating your edge or the spots where you have your edges, I think, is really.
It's like moving up in stakes in poker, right? Like eventually you're going to run into a table of nothing but pros, and it's like you can still beat pros. Like somebody is better.
Someone is.
But it's a much scarier proposition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that they're always checking the turns when they bet river. You can check and check raise with shit. People are going to have the counter to your counter, and those And
the first time you go up, you might have been wrong, and you got to
you
come back down.
You slap in the face.
Try again.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, what do you think right now in your career has been the biggest EV win on an exchange? Because exchanges are obviously very difficult because when you find a rort, how do you know it's a rort? Because of adverse selection or et cetera, et cetera. How often do you find something on an exchange? It doesn't have to be Novig, it could be Kalshi or anything else. You're like, I got it in good, and not only do I get it in good, I got it for size. What do you think the biggest EV bet you've made? It didn't even have to be a winner. It could have lost.
On the exchange stuff, I really respect the market, obviously. So on the money lines and on main stuff, it's just like how well did it close. Maybe tonight on Game 3 is up there. have.
It's always, this is the biggest.
No. This is not the biggest part of my life. Let me be very clear. This is not
every
today.
time. It's tonight.
Well, are you playing the game the right way if it's not happening tonight?
Wait, what do
you think your EV is going into tonight, game 3? On trades you made on Dodgers money line tonight, or maybe on your position on World Series.
$2,000 on the one bet on game 3.
Yeah, PK of EV is a lot
Gotten good size on Dodgers at like minus 140 tonight.
because
Wait, did you get it on Kelsh or Novig?
Not a Novig. I'm not going to say anything else, but not a Novig.
Yeah,
I'm not a Novig, but
So I guess that's what I understand. Is like, okay, are you not able to get like mid 5 down on like an absolute roar overnight? Like some like arbors or like not arbors. Oh, spamming you. Like hasn't that spot come up? And like, do you think you can get like a 5-figure plus EV win on an exchange without betting like, without just having like
5-figure plus an EV now? Probably not.
No. 10,000 plus EV where you're not just betting like 10,000 or $500,000 and just being like, oh, it's a 3% edge.
On a single bet?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to spend more than 1 second thinking about the math in my head before giving you a real answer. Sorry, let me throw you all these like really, this really convoluted, super specific scenario that you have to like calculate on the fly what your exact EV would be. Probably not if you're not doing it like, I'm not court-siding and taking advantage of Kalshi having no delay. I think that would be really.
What was that?
Kalshi has no delay in court setting. I don't know if the listeners are.
Don't use Kalshi in Italy.
Probably not. I'd have to sit down and think, but I think the size that I would have to take to get that, I'm not in a position
let me ask
to
you
take
a question in actual plain English versus whatever this guy's doing.
Yeah, thank you. Let's translate it.
Is the ecosystem today better or worse for you in your pocketbook than it was 1 year ago? And do you think it's going to be better or worse for you 1 year from now?
For sure, better 1 year ago.
Better than 1 year ago.
Better now than 1 year ago. I think that it's also a little bit of a difficult, thought exercise because a lot of times people are like, I feel like the game was easier this year than last year or vice versa, but there are a lot of other things at play, right? Your network might be better, or there are, you have new tools or you're betting more markets, and it's a very different game, right? I've only been doing it full time for a few months, and then betting basically full time or full time adjacent for like a year and a few months. But I think definitely a lot better, just because I have a lot more time and there are a lot of new opportunities. And it's nothing new to say, but being early to things gives you such a massive advantage, and your margin for error is much, much higher. And I think that was a big realization, right? Like, being early to exchanges or doing certain things for to markets is good, but like what that actually translates to into, raw EV or upside is just so massive. Like, I'll give you an example, like the MLB game that I was talking about, or MLB position that I have tonight. Like, I'm not going to be able to get that position in 8 months, and I'm more on protect some edges. I'm not going to explain why I won't be able to get that, and it's not like, okay, it's Robinhood users, but I just I hadn't even fully fleshed out my fare. There were different factors that this game things have changed, but I just knew that this was really, really off, and someone was doing something that shouldn't be. So I think those things kind of start to disappear. I think it's better now.
I feel like 2022, 23, 24, everybody just kept talking about how like, the party's over, this is drying up, that they're like wise to this. Because there was this post-PASPA, like, spend every dollar to get a customer, never limit anybody, like this surge, and then there was so much negativity for so long. And this is the first year that everybody's been like, ooh, it's better. It's actually evolving in a good way. And I wonder if it's a blip of optimism, and I feel like it's not. I feel like things are getting better for the buy-side user rapidly.
For sure. I also think it's a fun and interesting question because like the retail stuff is objectively worse. That doesn't mean it's not still great.
Yeah.
But there are very quantifiable ways that you can see that retail stuff has gone down.
Oh.
I mean, you see in Flutter's earnings, or if you want to go like super macro, like Flutter's reducing promotional spend.
Yeah.
Bonuses aren't as big. Like I'm going to Missouri for a few weeks when they open up, and I was like curious what the bonuses might be like. And it's going to be a lot worse than it was when I came back from study abroad to Illinois for the Super Bowl, where they were like, all right,
$3 grand on touchdown scores.
Touchdown scores.
And your limits go up when you play them.
And your limits go up when you play them. And
yeah, crazy. bid for 9K and get 2x limits.
Right,
next
yeah.
week. Yeah.
And those things would last, right? Like FanDuel's gotten better and doing stuff differently as a lot of the other retails are, and places shut down. But like the prediction market stuff is just such a massive opportunity. And anytime ICE invests $2 billion, not the ICE that's creating problems on the ground in America, the stock exchange ICE is investing. Sorry, we can cut that. Anytime ICE investing $2 billion, like they are bullish on the long-term upside, and that's also a big signal that's going to stay.
That's why I was like, please, Chris, don't let it.
Yeah, I think they're here to stay, and that's really exciting. And yeah, I think there is still a lot of good opportunity, especially if you're trying to evolve and willing to try things and figure out new things. And
All right, more random questions. I'm going to give you two companies. You have to buy one and short the other. FanDuel and DraftKings.
This is easy.
I don't think it's easy for him.
I mean, this is like classic information asymmetry. Like you guys are probably thinking about this.
I do think that's left.
I want to say you'd say buy. I'm going to say buy FanDuel for DraftKings, but I think
Okay. I'm not going to get it.
Absolutely correct answer.
Okay.
Second question. Polymarket, Kalshi.
I think I would say Polymarket, and that's going to be
Buy Polymarket.
buy Polymarket. That's probably a bit controversial and unexpected. Like over the next year, for sure, Kalshi. I think it will be very
But over a longer term, you would say Polymarket.
and I
You
think
think more upside because we haven't seen them like legally enter the US.
a few things. One, I think that we know Kalshi has something really, really good with Robinhood, and that relationship is great. But I think the Polymarket agreement opens up a lot of doors. I'm curious to see what their current fee structure leaves like a lot of optionality and flexibility.
Which is no fees at all.
Which is no fees at all, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will change and it won't last forever.
Well, I mean, Kalshi can just go to no fees.
Kalshi can go to no fees as well. But I think it's a lot more challenging when you're making money hand over fist on those fees to be like, all right, we're going to change the structure, and your liquidity is going to go down, right? The liquidity is going to go down a lot. There are serious protections in place for market makers, whether it be intentional or not, or super conscious or not, that they can post massive liquidity because they know they're protected by 2%. It's not that fancy of a
It's
game.
really weird. It's Negreanu, more rake is better, where the take fees are so insanely high that oddly enough, you can post makes that you really can't under their rules at all offer, except for that only buffoons are going to take anything.
Right.
Yeah.
You are so well protected. And
Yes.
I'm sorry, besides having, big daddy money from the SIGs of the world, it's not that impressive besides having a billion or a few $100 million bankroll to be like, all right, it's 11:30 on a Sunday morning. Injury reports are really clean. We're going to post a lot of money where our customers are getting 2% worse, right? Like, I don't think that it's that cool. And I think that logic being applied to some other markets where that logic should not be applied to is part of the reason why there are still maybe some opportunities on the take side if you look around, or where you can
Shout out
maybe
the
get a little bit.
ATP tour, dude. Let's talk about some real sports.
Yes, let's talk about your guy John Isner at Newport.
Oh yeah, is he still playing tennis? Wait, what happened with Isner at Newport this year?
No, not this year. But didn't you love him because that was his local tournament?
Yeah,
he's grinding.
he used to kind of yeah. I love playing Isner at Newport. Maybe sitting on the
So
sideline.
I would disagree with your take. I would buy Kalshi and short Poly because I think Poly has built a reputation of insider information, crypto bros, it's not legal, et cetera, skirting it with like VPNs. And no one can really use Poly in the US, but everyone is using Poly in the US.
I didn't even know Paulie was a thing until a day ago.
Of course. And
Officer, I don't know how this Polymarket got my car.
Yes, exactly. But Kalshi was first, and they have a reputation now of being more legal. And I think that gives them such an advantage. I don't see how Polymarket is able to compete with that. And all these things of like their deal with Robinhood is so beneficial. Why would Robinhood want to trust Poly? Like Poly's gonna have to offer such a ridiculous deal that I don't even know if Poly can afford a deal that would make Robinhood go to Kalshi. I think the only way they really get overthrown is like if a company, I don't know, maybe that's sports focused enters the space
with a few specials offerings.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know who
I'll say this. I think that's part of my answer why next 12 months or 24 months would be slightly different, and maybe part of my bias is I just can't stand some of the call sheet stuff that I see on the feed.
Of course,
and I didn't know I was coming onto this until literally 20 seconds before we started recording. But I was just coming by to say what up. I'll say
this is how we talk to everybody now.
This game is a lot longer than people think it is, right? And that early first mover advantage for Kalshi might be super strong, and the fact that they have some established base in the Robinhood connection, there are other ways for Polymarket to gain access to that retail pool or really appealing retail pools, right? Like cash money is king. If Kalshi thinks they can make additional revenue from a Polymarket agreement or whatever that looks like, they will explore that. I don't think there's some hey man, Tarek, love that you beat Polymarket to the country by 8 months. So I'm gonna give you a big hug and just decline, many tens of millions of dollars. Polymarket also just got a $2 billion hash reduction, and these valuations are going up by billions of dollars weekly, right? I don't think that if there is access to really appealing retail flow, or there's some I don't think that would be that would be that big of an obstacle.
I do want to ask you a little bit of a random question, but do you think you as a bettor are going to be in a better spot or worse spot if either Kalshi, Polymarket, or Novig succeed and one of the three or the combination of three achieve $100 or $200 billion valuation, and they truly do eat the world of a DraftKings or a Flutter? And maybe they still exist, but as shells of themselves. Are you in a better spot or a worse spot?
I'd probably say definitively worse. I think I get to succeed because there are a lot of ways to win and a lot of markets to bet on. And as that becomes more strained and bigger dogs come into the game, that becomes a lot harder. I don't think I do anything particularly great. I think I'm just willing to put money on my opinions, and the people's opinions I have to get to be better than right now are very different than I think those opinions might be in a year, even if it's three, and for sure different than if it's one big pool. So yeah, I'd say it's definitely worse. I'd be open to some other perspective. I don't really see how that's the case.
He's wrong, right?
No, I think you're wrong, and the reason I think you're wrong is
I am white. You know what?
I'd be overjoyed to be wrong.
You're wrong because you're the guy. And
it's not even that.
You think they'd be better. The only way they're better is if they figure out that you're the guy and bring you in. That's the reality.
No, Isaac, in all seriousness,
it's all people.
It is. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, you think if what it takes to be successful in sports and what it takes to be successful in finance are wildly different things. Citadel, yes, their IQs and their team is way higher than myself or you, but right, if they enter this
because of the shape of their head.
Yes, there are other sweatshirts besides the Novig sweatshirt. Yes, their wardrobe's more diverse.
If they enter sports with billions of bankroll and they go immediately, we're gonna crush, and they come in and they enter the space, I think for the next year or two, maybe even 3 years, you're going to feast. What happens if they post okay, we're gonna just have tons of liquidity all the time, and they post $500,000 liquidity on an NBA overnight or an MLB overnight, and you just get to gobble that up at a ridiculous ROI, and you're never getting that reward again. And sure, maybe they'll learn a lesson, but they're gonna learn a lesson a lot of times, and you actually just are going to be able to eat them alive, in my opinion, for a short while. I will say that probably 10 years down the line, if they're able to figure it out, you're obviously
GG,
it's a GG.
I'll be working.
But I think you'll have earned so much on them figuring it out that it'll have been better.
Let me ask another simple question.
And then I have to respond to
that. So you exclude all books that discriminate on size, your DraftKings and FanDuels, whatever. You just think about Bookmaker, Pinnacle, whatever, a handful. There is far more open available liquidity this year than this time last year, right? Like at any given time in the day, like T minus 12 hours to first pitch in a baseball game, the number of dollars that you can just go get without worrying about like what happens to your account is substantially higher right now.
And that's worth. Let's be very clear. That's also worth something. And I think worth something. Like the stress of not worrying what I'm putting into certain accounts or being able to bet. Like that is worth a lot of money.
Removing friction saves you a lot of money.
A lot of money and time.
Risk.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Like that is ROI. You can lose edge and still make more money just on that.
For sure. Big agree.
Would you, in theory, right? Like if the world was a theoretically correct place, that would correspond to the numbers being sharper at that time of day, right? Like if it used to be 12 hours out, there's 10K in liquidity, now there's 30K in liquidity, well, then we should have the accuracy of numbers that we used to have when there was 30K of liquidity, which was 3 hours out, or whatever, whatever the apples to apples comparison is. Do you think it's apples to apples, or is it, no, there's a lot more liquidity there, but the price is not correspondingly sharper? It's like people kind of riding with the softer numbers for more size because everybody's just trying to get in on it.
Great question. I'd say a few things. One, I would say that it's not apples to apples because a lot of times when you see, corresponding liquidity spikes or like Circa goes from 20 to 50K or whatever, like that. Shout out Circa, right? Like that shows something about their opinion. That's a really conscious decision, right? We were at 20K, we either got some bets or we have information or whatever, and we're willing to go to 50K. When, like I said, when other books are quoting, penny prices or whatever for, 30 extra liquidity a few hours before football, that doesn't mean those prices are much sharper. And I think that's, a big part of Chris's point in terms of, you can feast. My take is that if there's one huge liquidity pool into, $200 billion company or whatever, like that process is expedited pretty significantly, and we get to that point of increased efficiency. I mean, we were talking in our chat last week, right? Like, it's on the exchange. It's not the game of the opinions, right? Like, I'm very much looking forward to it, but also probably to some degree will rue it because it'll be bad for me and other bettors when like someone comes on and they're willing to put up 500K on an ARB to Pinnacle, right? So you can ARB up Pinnacle. We're not there yet. I have to think about exactly how long I think that will take. My opinion is that if the Citadel,
we are seeing ours to Pinnacle, or do you mean like game day ours to Pinnacle?
You're saying for massive size,
or we're
both sides.
I'm saying a lot of the people who are posting major liquidity on these exchanges right now, and I don't mean Novig, someone putting up, $5,000 on Ty J Spears under 1.5% receptions. I mean, the people who are putting up, $50,000, $100,000 on overnights, where if one of us or one of our friends wanted to come in and clean out the screen, they would move the market 1.5 on a spread and get, $15,000 or $20,000 if they hit the live odds. Obviously,
right.
You can go about it differently than that. What I'm saying is when someone comes in and it's, Saturday night NFL, and someone is getting their actual opinion. It's not some quant fund. Like that is when like the game has changed and when it might be a little bit closer to apples to apples.
Do you think?
And that right now is why you can make a lot of money because people are quoting, and because the Citadels of the world come in a little arrogantly from Trad Finance. For the most part, they should be arrogant. They're pretty sick. But with respect to this, they're not, and have no business quoting size on events because they don't understand. A lot of the betting market, which is different in a lot of ways.
I was going to ask a question, but it's like too revealing a question. Well, I would say, do you think maybe there's a little bit more of that happening of mass execution happening off of the market prices, but in semi-obscure ways? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
But
yes. And the other thing that I was going to say, and I kind of got sidetracked answering Chris's question, is that it's not one-to-one that like the global price I think is so much better. But I think there are certain spots where if you pay attention to things, there are prices, obscurely around, and you have to look and think about things critically and what's going on in a way that you do in betting, not in finance. That like certain prices are going to be a lot better, or going to be really fucking good in spots a lot earlier.
Yeah.
In the Novigs of the world we talked about, right? Like
and they might not show up as open interest, but they might show up as like fills.
Correct.
They might show up in Asian markets.
Correct. Any market, right?
Whatever.
Right. Like it's really hard to hide massive size, or even big size in your spots. And if you're really looking hard, you can. But if you're just like randomly watching, you're not always necessarily gonna see it. Yeah. I agree.
The stars sometimes have to align for some of the stuff.
And since you come across it randomly, like there was one spot where I was like, wow, what's happening here is someone who really knows what they're doing. And I was just purely accidentally doing it. And that kind of talks about it. You're just like in the weeds and doing things, you have some of these realizations at time where like you're looking and you're like, there's a lot of money here. Is it good money or not good money? You spend a little time figuring it out. And if it's not good money, you can make a bunch of money. And if it's good money, you might still be able to figure things out.
I was talking to somebody about this. The weird thing is like that there's enough money out there now that being loaded up and ready to move in some spots makes more sense. You know what I mean? Like there might be something to do with $500,000, but it's not necessarily something that's guaranteed to show up day after day after day that you can turn it over. It's more like things are changing so quickly, there might be some new opportunity and you don't want to get caught flat-footed, but otherwise you might just have money sitting there not generating anything.
Correct.
And that's kind of a tricky problem. So that like sometimes, like I can point out on a bunch of different spots where I see theoretical flaws with pricing and sizing and process. And it's like, why is nobody taking advantage of this? It's like, well, there's always a gap between the theoretical and the practical.
Always a gap. And then also, to your point, another thing is that I think it's especially just coming from betting, like, you know, if you're originating or moving or top down, like you have a real routine in terms of, all right, I have these fares, I'm going to adjust these fares, or I have this person I work really closely with and I know they're going to send me these bets and I have these outs set up for it and I'm ready to bet at these times.
Yeah.
And I
This much
expect to do this much
credit,
for
blah,
top
blah,
down,
blah.
right? But with these opportunities, you have to be willing to move for a lot of size at one time and execute really quickly, or just execute. And that's a different challenge and also really, really, I think, scary in certain spots.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to just get it in a way that you're not, right? You have 4 months of being like, all right, I can bet into FanDuel's NBA props at 1 p.m. to feel good about it. It's a lot different than, all right, I'm going to bet for 40x the size or whatever that multiple
And
is.
I literally have no idea who's showing up.
And I have no idea what my counterparty is.
Yeah,
And they're either a lot better than I am, or they're a lot worse than I am, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I mean, that's the example I was talking about before, like getting down massive in some spots where there's really no business being able to get down that. They're not massive, but like pretty reasonably large. Like, you know, a max take on one of these books at post for a better price.
Well,
not at that
I
time,
think-
right?
The point I was trying to make, and I think you illustrated well, is like, yes, you can get, like, if you want $1 million down on like NFL Sunday, you can do it easy, probably not even move the screen. If you want like down like $1 million down on NBA overnight, you got to move the screen like 7 points.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
good luck. But so getting 50K down or like 100K down on like a 10-15% edge is like just as good as like the ability to get down like $1 million on the NFL side, because like those EVs are the same. Like,
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you know,
It's actually significantly better.
it's significantly better.
oh, because you
Because the bankroll growth is
Right,
Yeah.
better.
All right, I'll tell you. I'll see it. To answer your question, let's see. I'll check right now what the
Oh,
EV
he's
of the
got
position
he's
is.
got his phone out. What are we doing?
Oh, sorry. I thought it'd be interesting for you to see.
No, this is Chris's fault completely for trying to pin you down to
Let's
some.
see.
He's gonna say like 11,000, and you're like, whoa, like what are you getting at here?
I'm just curious. I'm sorry for asking questions.
He's smashing. The guy is smashing. I'm gonna give him 10 seconds to finish this exercise. While I'm trying to.
I'm
fill it in
asking questions, and you're just like one of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is riding the ship right now.
I'm trying to make
Let's
the
see.
talk
Let's see.
better.
Whatever. All right. It might take a little too much time to figure out, but I'll get your answer right now.
Make up a number.
No. I want to give you a pure answer for journalistic integrity.
So you see any good movies recently?
Henry, I asked a legitimate question.
You're a one battle after another fan, right?
What the hell
You
is
thought
that?
that was awesome. You watch nothing but sports, huh?
All right. To answer your question, I said no way before maybe. I think the EV of the position is like probably $6,500.
That's
Yeah.
very good.
So
yeah, I do that daily, but yeah, different.
Oh my god.
Big compounds. Yeah,
We should wrap. Yeah,
Right.
go hang a little bit here.
for sure.
Let's set the over under. What's the over under on next year, next 12 months from now, what your highest EV position will be on an exchange? By like when you make the bet, you would assign an EV value on it, or like by club.
Okay, because that's going to be a different answer.
Not
Talk about this theoretical versus- that's going to be a different
Not-
answer because there's some spots where it's going to be massively
not this scenario where like you have a feeling that like you bet a Hawks under because you think it's 2 points off, and then Trae Young randomly gets ruled out for personal reasons, and you weren't pricing that in, so now you have like a massive like that. I'm not talking about. You knew he wasn't going to be played in, or you thought the EV was this when you played it.
I mean, I'll say the quiet part out loud, right? Like you can you can have information in spots that these people don't have because they're willing to offer a lot, right? Like you see, Baltimore game was uncertain this week. Chris is taking $50K on the Chargers whatever game, and then the injury comes out and they're rebooting $10K, and that might not be the same amount everywhere. And if you might have a really good hunch that Lamar is out, or like you might not be 100% sure, but you might be 98% sure. It shows up.
Chris knew because they covered.
Yes, Chris knew. Very well played, Chris. Definitely not this Chris.
Well, I think everyone knows it's something about Chris.
Yeah, I just have to really make that clear. So yeah, I don't know. I think probably somewhere in between, 5 and 10K. I hope that we'll see how things change. That's other things. Like these things are changing so quickly. I don't know, and I just want to be. I want to be ready when that $10,000.
Can you tell he just started using a trading portal that shows his EV on every single position?
I've never seen him. I've never seen him so obsessed with this. Oh my god! Actually, the last time I remember him being that obsessed with it was.
All right, we got to wrap.
Before Henry takes a position and is showing everyone of the traders, look how good my position is, bragging about his EV the entire time. I asked a question and now I'm the bad guy.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, this. I get giddy about some good positions too, Sylvia. I see the screen light up and I'm feeling good. Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.